Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So this is a continuation tutorial for property management system. The first sessions we have covered that how we can develop that UI, where like user can add the property details for saving the details. Now here, as I said in the last tutorial, the next I'm going to cover that how you're going to, as I'm added few fields over here related to the property related fields like title, then property type, then like locations and the other fields, pin code and area, cities and all those stuffs. Now here in this tutorial mostly I'm going to cover that how you're going to put the validations before saving the data, and also like if the form is not valid, means until all the fields are not provided correctly or provide proper value, until we are not allowing user to save the details. And once currently, if you notice that currently the saved method is empty, because means in clicked on the save button we are not doing any kind of the actions or activities. Now we are also going to the add some functionalities, like while any user can't clicked on this save button, then we can save the data into the database. So for saving the information into the database, we need to write one API in the backend, and that particular API we need to call from this over here. So further any delay, let's like add the validations over here. So as you can see over here that there is a required and the minimum length should be 4. So this kind of validations we have added over here. But now just to show some kind of the messages over there, we need to write some if else condition over here, right? So how we are going to write that? So for that I've already one of my tutorial that I've covered that how we are going to add the validations over here. So here we need to write that title dot touch, like if the particular field is touch, then we are going to write the nested logic. Okay, so what will be the, so first of all we need to add one div so that we are going to display some kind of the messages over there, like maybe this field is required or this field is mandatory, something like that. If like the errors is the required, like if this is the required, means if the user is not filled any data over there, then we are going to display one of the message like this field is required or this is required. So how we are going to doing this one, like title dot errors, if it is not null, then we are checking that it is required or not. If it is the minimum length, like suppose we have added values but the length is the 2, means we are adding those things but it is not actually suffice the need, like the expected length the 4. Okay, so that's why it's getting failed. So for this scenario we are putting some this kind of messages over here. Similar kind of things we need to add for the other fields also, like this property type ID. So here also we are going to add this validation. So here only the required is there, so we don't need to add this one. Okay, and here also we need to update this name is property type ID, because the ng model name is property type ID. Okay, let me format it again. Okay, next for this location, and here we need to update it with location. So here the name should be changed to the location. Okay, let me copy this one and add for all the fields, then I will modify the respective field name for city also and the for state also. Okay, so here like we need to add this pin code over here for this pin code, but for this city actually we need to add, because for this we have not added, and for the state also. Okay, so for this state it will be a state, and similar kind of things we need to modify over here. And over here this is actually city, so we need to update it to city instead of this one. Here location is fine. Here it is will be a pin code. Okay, and then it will be location, so let it form. Okay, So that means we have added the validation. The next things we need to add, like if the form is not valid, means if someone not added the values over there, then we need to disable this particular button. So how we are going to doing that? So for that we need to give one name for this particular form. Like currently if you notice over here that the form is don't have any name actually. So we need to give some name for this form. Let's say this is the my form. Then we need to add this disable tag in the button. How we're going to adding this one? So over here we need to add this disable equals to this. Okay, so here it will be disabled, and then not dot form dot valid, means if it is not valid then it will be actually disabled. Okay, so now we can start this application. So that just need to check that whatever the validation we have added, and also like we have added those disable button over here. So if those all the things are working fine or not. In the background also I have added, means we need to start this application so that the login API and the dashboard APIs do register all the API we are able to access from the portal. So once it will start, then we will check from the portal that whatever the validations we have added, the required kind of things. Here just want we have missed one point, so that we need to add. Like if you see that we have added this required annotations or field over here, but for this city we have not added. So we need to add for this required and for the state also, else it will won't work. Okay, so we have added and let it save. Let it start, let it build. Then after that we will check from the portal. Its build started. So from the here we can see from the I'm opening this one. Okay, so here we need to give the username and password over there. After that, once we logged in into the system, then we can dashboard is landed over here. Then click on the add property. So here the validation is coming. Similar for this, similar for this. So means validations are means okay, for the city is not working, for state is not working. Okay, so because maybe that required field previously was not added over there, so I need to refresh it so that it will work. Okay, now if we open the browser again, so now if we see, yeah, now it is coming, correct. Now if you notice that the save button basically is disabled, correct, it's not enabled because the form is not valid. So until or unless form is not valid, it will not enable the save button. So then only we can, like once this save button is enabled, then we can actually write the function over there in the backend so that it will call the APIs. So now in the next, what we are going to do, we are going to like write the services so that we can save these details into the database. So let's write this one. So now actually basically we are going to develop the services. So for that, inside of the integration services we are having, like from the TS file, here we need to call that particular service, right? So we are already having this integration service. So here we are having this kind of methods over here currently. So now we are going to add this this one, like for saving the details. So let us let me copy this one. We'll do little bit of modifications over here, like let's say it's a save property. Okay, so it's a save property and the request will be property, right? So here we need to pass the property. So we have previously created this class property. Okay, and in a response basically we need to get the property response. So we need to create another model over here, but like as if you see, we have created multiple models over here, but instead of that, if we create one like kind of master TS file, and over there I am just means we can keep multiple interfaces like this property response. So what it will return? It will return this property ID and the response. In a response basically it will be kind of any string like that. property details is saved successfully with this ID, some similar kind of that, and here it's just returning this ID number. So here we are using this property response. Okay, property response. So this response we are going to receive while we are calling this particular save property, and it will be a save property details. Let's say the API name will be a save property details, and this particular service we need to call from this TypeScript file over here, like this, from the on save. So how we are going to call this one? We need to basically, first of all, we need to, this form is defining over here, this form. So here we need to set the details, we need to create one request data type over here, right? Let me create this one, here, request property equals to new property. Okay, so this request is created over here, and then we are going to set the data here. How we are going to save this one? This dot request dot city. Okay, how we are going to set the data? Like this dot form object dot city. Okay, so similar kind of, we need to set all the data like here, like this: location, pin code, property title, property type ID, state, city. All the things we have defining over here. Now as we need to call that integration service, so for that we need to use the integration service object over here. So how we are going to use this one? So for that, let us integration, either we can use it from the as a constructor, we can inject this one, else we can use the inject this one from that, and here we need to pass this service name. So it will basically create one object for us, and using this service like this dot integration service dot save property, and here we need to pass this request. Now here dot subscribe. Okay, so here we have to call this particular method, and then if we receive the response successfully, then here we can pin some kind of console log over here, console.log, and we can say that response or property details saved successfully with ID. So how we are going to getting this ID? Response dot property ID, right? Okay, and then we need to alert something like that property details saved successfully with this ID. We can display some alert messages so that user can understand that details are saved successfully. In case of any error, okay, in case of any error, so in case of error, we are similar kind of, we can display some kind of messages over here. Okay, here we need to, okay, here we can put some logs getting the error response, right? Okay, so it will basically save the data. In case of any error or something, then it will return the error response from there. Okay, so now from the backend, actually in the backend we need to write this particular method so that we can actually call that particular method. So here we are going to create one post mapping, or else we can create another API. Like this is a login controller, so we can create another property controller. Like let me add this one over here, like property controller. Okay, let me close all the classes over here. Property. So here we don't need this do login, do register. Okay, okay. So the method name will be like save property details, so which will basically save the property details. Okay, so it will be a save property details, and here we need to create the DTOs. So what will be the DTO? Like first of all we need to create one DTO, the save property details, right? Save property request. So here we are going to create the save property request. This is the response property ID and the response. Let me stop this server, and the save property request. This is the save like property ID, title, location, property type ID, and then city, pin code, state, total properties. It is not required, and created date. Okay, so this is request we are going to get, and that actually we are going to use over here. Save property request. This okay. So this request is done. Now we are going to create the like entity. Okay, so for that the entity will be this entity property. Here if you see this property ID, which will be automatically generated, saved into the table, property title, location, type ID, city, pin code, state, and is booked or not. Currently we are not storing the photo, but in later on we can add, so that's why keeping this on blob, and the local date. Okay, it will be a property table. Okay, next we are going to create one service over here. Okay, property service, which will basically responsible to save the data into the database. So let me create one class. It's a property service, and we need to annotate this particular class with the service annotation. Okay, and here we are going to add some like we need to use this repository, like this property repository. Okay, so let me add this repository also over here, because for saving the details into the database, so property repository we need to add, correct? So here we have to use this property, okay, and over here we need to use this particular auto where for injecting or for using this bean. Actually we need to use this auto where private property repo. Okay, here basically now we are going to create one class, one method actually, and which will take this request, save property, and this response. Okay, we are receiving. Now here actually we need to create that entity, and we are mapping those fields over here. I am explaining over here like this one. So what I am doing over here, like we have created this DTO like entity initialize, and here from this request whatever the data is coming we have set over here: city, state, created date, location, pin code, property title, and the property ID. So these are the set. Then after that we need to like save the details. Here we need to pass this property, so it will basically save the details into the database. Next what we are going to do, we are going to like return the response from over here. Okay, so we have created the response object, and then in the response we have added this property ID and the response like property details saved successfully. Okay, so service layer is done. Now from over here we need to inject that private property service. Okay, now this property service, here we need to call that save property, and here we need to pass this request. Return type also should be changed. What will be the return type? Save property response. Property response. Okay, so the API wise we are now done. So we have created one API, new controller. Over here we are defining this save property detail. This particular API we need to call from the Angular, and here we have created one service, property service, and here we have write that save property method. Here it will just mapping the data from request to the entity, and then we are saving the data into the database, and after that we are just setting the response over here. Okay, so now we need to start this application. I have also opened the database. If you see that property table is over here, it's created, and also backend got started. Now like if we open the here, so now from here we need to just call this one. Okay, so let us see over here, save property is getting called. Now from the browser basically we can see that, let us do login again, test. After the login we'll see, let me open the network tab so that we can see that. Okay, now here we have just put some kind of details over here, property type, then location, it's a let's say Mumbai. Okay, and then like pin code maybe something putting over here, city Mumbai, then state is Maharashtra. Okay, now if we save this one, so it will basically, okay, if you see that property details added successfully with this ID, means this particular data is added. Now if we open the database and refresh it, so if you see that Mumbai, then created date, location, pin code, test, I type and the ID. Okay, so those details are added into the database now. So this is, that means we are able to successfully like integrate that API. We are able to successfully save that property details into the database. In next, what we are going to do, we are going to display those property details, okay, into the UI. In the backend, if you see that here insert that property, that whatever we are going to insert, so this SQL is added over here. So next what we are going to do, we are just display like whatever the details we are saving over here, we are going to display the property list into the some kind of in a UI. Means we are going to fetch, after saving the data we are going to fetch the details, and also we are giving the options to update and the delete the records. So in next tutorial I am going to add those things. This is all about this for this one. Okay, so in next tutorial, as I mentioned, I am going to cover the other functionalities. That's all for this one. If you guys have anything, please do let me know in the comment section. Thanks for your time. See you in my next videos. Bye bye.